back to On the Middle East, Al Monitor's flagship podcast on the big stories in the region. My name is Ambryn Zaman, and today I'll be discussing the momentous news from Damascus. On Tuesday, Mazlum Kobane, the commander-in-chief of the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, announced the formal dissolution of his multi-ethnic group of men and women fighters, better known as the SDF. The SDF governed large swathes of the country after defeating the Islamic State together with the US-led global coalition. The collapse of the Assad regime and the rise to power of the former jihadist Ahmed al-Sharaa in December 2024 upended the status quo, leaving the Kurds forced to choose between conflict or accommodation with Damascus. The decision to disband follows more than a year of US-facilitated negotiations. The contours of the deal suggest that the Kurds got far less than they hoped for. However, set against the background of the systematic oppression faced by Syria's Kurdish population, they do mark a big step forward. My guest today is Ibrahim Hamidi, a veteran Syrian journalist who broke the story of the dissolution. He is the editor-in-chief of Majalla. Welcome to our program, Ibrahim.
I'm so delighted to be with you, my dear friend.
Well, you have been scooping us big time. You were the first to announce that the SDF commander-in-chief, Mazlum Kobane, as we call him, would be making this very dramatic announcement in Damascus, saying that the SDF was formally dissolved. Now, Ibrahim, many of us who follow the SDF and the northeast of Syria, the Kurds, very closely, did not expect this because the messaging from him, especially, that interview he gave to Rudau, and then after that, the anniversary of Kamishli, the 100th anniversary party, if you want to call it that, where he said the integration was complete, but never once did he pronounce the dissolution of the SDF. So what happened, actually? Can you tell us? Were you surprised?
I was not surprised, to be honest. Of course, once again, it's great pleasure to be with you, my dear friend Ambryn. Yeah, but we all, you know better than me, than anybody else. We know that this has been in the making for at least for more than a year. At least if we go back to the 10th of March agreement between the President Ahmed al-Sharaa and the commander of SDF, Mazlum Abdi, when they signed the agreement, I mean, we knew that was coming. And actually, if maybe for some people they thought that it took more than expected. You are right. You are right in the sense that General Mazlum Abdi sent completely different message just a few days ago when he gave the interview to Rudau. It was really very good interview. But then he was not talking about dissolving SDF, and on the other, he gave messages on the opposite direction. But I know, and you know, when Mazlum Abdi and Ilham Ahmed were in Damascus a few weeks ago, and they met with the interim President Ahmed al-Sharaa, they agreed, to be honest, they agreed on a roadmap how to move forward. And part of it, at that time, a few weeks ago, part of it was Ilham Ahmed would come to Damascus next week from then to meet with the foreign minister and to take a post on the foreign office, and the Mazlum Abdi would be appointed as special envoy for the president. In parallel with this, Mazlum Abdi would announce that to dissolve the SDF. That did not happen. There was a bit of delay. I spoke with some people who met with senior officials recently. After that, they were complaining about the fact that Mazlum Abdi was a bit slow in implementing that decision. And as you said, Mazlum Abdi, Ilham Ahmed came to Damascus on Monday. They met with the foreign minister Asad al-Shibani, and then they met with him again on Tuesday. And then they agreed that they would go to see President Shara at 7, and then Mazlum would make the big announcement, which is to dissolve SDF. Part of the package. If you want, we can discuss the package in details because there were other elements in that package.
Yeah, I absolutely want to discuss the package, but you said Ilham was supposed to go to the foreign ministry, and we now know that that's not happening, that she's going to be a member of parliament from Ahmed al-Shara's contingent. At least that's what's being reported by the media. And my impression was that the reason Mazlum Abdi was taking things rather slowly was because he wanted a job with real substance. So my question to you is, what's this package and what real authority will he in particular have? We can talk about Ilham Ahmed as well.
My understanding is Ilham Ahmed already been appointed as a member of parliament. And, as you know, there is a vacancy there. She's been appointed. I think my understanding is that part of the package is that she'll be a member of the Committee for Diplomatic and Consulate Affairs, as you know, because in the new parliament there is no Foreign Affairs Committee. So the package contains different elements. One is that General Mazlum Abdi is not going to be general anymore. So he'll be Mr.
Some would say he never was a general, but anyway, people called him that.
By the way, this element was mentioned, by the way. So General Mazlum, so my understanding is that General Mazlum Abdi is not going to be a general anymore. He's going to be Mr. Mazlum Abdi, and he is going to be appointed as special advisor for the president or in the presidency without any, without
a portfolio.
It will not be in writing, but he will be in charge of components and mainly the Kurds. Number two, as you mentioned, Ilham Ahmed, who was supposed to be part of the Foreign Office, now she will be part of the parliament, the Committee for Consulate and Diplomatic Affairs, and she will be more in charge of drafting the new constitution. Because, as you know, we have in term the constitutional declaration.
When you say in charge, will she be running it, or will she be part of a
I
committee?
think my understanding, as you know, she's you met her several times. I interviewed her several times.
Yes.
Yes. She is very much interested in the constitution, the new constitution in Syria, because part of the negotiations since January or March 2025, SDF, Mazlum, Ilham, they were talking about we need to have our rights drafted in the constitution. And so for her, this is top priority. So she will be involved in drafting the constitution. Whether she will lead the committee or not, personally, I doubt it, but definitely she will have big role in that committee.
Well, that's terribly important, Ibrahim, wouldn't you say? I mean, it's definitely more important than anything she might have been doing in the foreign ministry. So that's
for her, as you know, for her, this is very close to her heart, very close to her interest. And this is because I think, when you dig deep in the negotiations with Mazlum, Ilham, all of them, all the time, they were saying, look, we need something in writing in the constitution. So this is number two. Number three, I think, was is the women unit in the SDF. We are talking about 13 to 1700 will join the Ministry of Interior.
Yeah.
And they will be part of anti-terrorism unit, but they will be deployed in northeast of Syria in their areas. They're not going to deploy it anywhere else. Number four, it's interesting, as you know, we have SDF. SDF, the whole integration process started beginning of this year, end of January. And as we know, we have 4 units, 4 brigades.
Yes.
For SDF. Each unit, we have 1,300 in each unit. Half of them, maybe about 40 to 50%, been already vetted and accepted. But it seems that they agreed in principle that SDF people will mainly they will be deployed on the borders between Syria and neighboring countries. Next principle, next uh, element is that all because as you know, President Shara already released decree on the Kurdish rights,
Yes.
and there was a lot of negotiations about curriculum and about the Kurdish language. It
Yes.
seemed that it seemed that they agreed that in principle, not in principle, they agreed that all theoretical courses we're talking about, for example, history, geography, they will be taught in Kurdish in the all schools, and the Kurdish language will be considered as a national or as official language in Syria. And that's why, as you
Wait, Ibrahim, that's very important because they were saying that it would be, or they already said, they being the Syrian government, that it was recognized as a national language. Are you now saying that Kurdish will be adopted as an official language alongside Arabic? That's an
as you
important
noted,
distinction, Ibrahim.
of course, you are as always as professional as always, and I have to be very careful about what to say, not to say.
Flattery
Yes,
won't get you anywhere, Ibrahim.
but Amberine, I'm sure you noticed Mr. Said Mazlum Abdi made the announcement in the palace. He spoke in Arabic first, and then
In
in
Kurdish.
Kurdish. That was that was not coincident. That was part of the understanding, and I'm sure you will see that more. And I think already they will meet with the Minister of Education, and Kurdish in Kurdish dominated areas, Kurdish language will be taught in the schools, and it will be considered as like first language. Now, whether there will be a decree to consider the Kurdish language as official language or national language. I think these, of course, wordings are very important, especially in such cases. But my understanding is that it will be the Syria state, the state will deal with it as like as official language. The next principle, I think, which is very important, of course, part of the deal is that Mazlum Abdi would announce
Hold on.
the
So are you saying, Ibrahim, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, that Kurdish will de facto be a second official language without that being put into writing, that the way things will unfold in the course of, governance is that Kurdish will, be used.
As you know,
Will it be in the constitution that it's an official language? You see, that's very
I
important.
think,
And
I
another
think,
question before you answer this one, you mentioned that certain theoretical courses would be taught in Kurdish. What we know, and you know a lot more than I do, is that Kurdish will be taught as an elective language on the one hand, and some courses will be taught in Kurdish electively. But what Sana reported, the official news agency, was that this would be only 2 hours a week. So there is a lot of confusion around this. So please help clarify all of this for us, Ibrahim.
I wish I can, but I think what we know, I mean, the 2 hours, the 2 hour thing, it was old. I think that was before. I think we are now talking about something different. I think, my understanding. I think they agreed on principles. The principles are there. But when it comes to logistics and details, I think my understanding is that will be, you remember the Minister of Interior of Syria? Sorry, you remember the Minister of Education of Syria? He visited the Kurdistan of Iraq like a few weeks ago. You remember? He met with Najib al-Barzani.
Yes.
I think that was part of the negotiations. My understanding is that there will be a lot of talks with two levels. One with Traco, I mean the Minister of Education, about how you apply this principle, how you apply it on the schools in northeast of Syria. B, the second point is that that's why Ilham was very keen to be part of this committee. That's why she wants to be part of the committee that is going to draft the new constitution. So definitely, she will push for it. She will push to have it written in the constitution. But whether that will be approved or not, that I think that will be left. I'm talking as analyst, regardless of what I think. I think that will be up to the negotiations within the committee that's going to draft the new constitution. But I think we have a decree from President Shara. We have the meetings with the Minister of Education, and symbolically, it's not just one off. Mazlum Abdi in the palace, which is a sovereign place in a way, that he said he was talking Kurdish. And you think that Ilham, when she is in the parliament and she will talk with other Kurdish members of parliament, when she talks with them in Kurdish. By the way, if you noticed, I don't know if you noticed, I'm sure you noticed, when Nechirvan Barzani, the PM of Kurdistan, Iraq, when he came to Damascus, the Kurdish flag was raised in
Yes,
Damascus.
yes, of course. I did a big story about that, and
You remember the invitation
was in Kurdish. The menu was in Kurdish. The
so
president tweeted in Kurdish. Yes, yes. These
so
are all
you know
great symbolic gestures.
I don't think it's symbolic, but I'm not. I was there in Syria. Remember, I am Syrian. I'm from Idlib. Lived in
Of
Damascus.
course.
I worked in Damascus for 22 years. Now, the Nowruz day for the Kurds, it was not recognized by Ba'ath Party regime. It was then they established the Mother Day just as alternative to, because they didn't want to recognize. So you could not really talk or say anything in Kurdish. Now, and I mean, I spoke with high-level Kurdish official. I think this is important to know the rationale behind it. What he told me, this very high-level Kurdish official, not Syrian, he's Arab, he's Iraqi high-level official. He said, look, he's high up. He said, he personally he met with Saddam Hussein, he met with Hafez al-Assad, and he met with Bashar al-Assad.
And he's still alive.
Yes, he's still alive. So you could imagine, you could imagine whom I'm talking about. And then he met with Ahmed Shara. It's definitely, that for Saddam, for Hafiz Bashar al-Assad, for them they were Ba'athist. They will have this pan-Arabism ideology. They had this plan to Arabize all Kurdish dominated areas. Now, when it comes to Shara, he doesn't have this luggage on him. He does not have this vision. He's so easy with it. He believes in Syrian entity, in Syrian sovereignty, in Syrian state, and of course, Syria. My understanding, I mean, this is my understanding, is that with a lot of components, and then all of them will, as long as they believe in state building, national state, I mean state building, they're fine. So there's no the same narrow vision that we had for
Absolutely not.
decades.
I agree with you, Ibrahim, that all of the steps you described are very important and symbols do matter. When I said symbolic, I didn't use that as a derogatory term. I think symbols matter hugely. But everything you described to me now, Ibrahim, suggests that the hard work is only just beginning and that, nothing has been fully decided yet. And the battle has been carried now to Damascus, where these Kurdish figures, leaders, will be continuing to be pushing for more rights, and nothing's been yet finalized. So be it, on the constitution, on education, nothing is quite clear. But what we also know in parallel, that Ahmed al-Sharaa is not somebody who believes in devolution. He often points to Lebanon as being, an example of why states don't succeed when you sort of have these quota systems for minorities, etc. So it's pretty clear to me that a federal system, autonomy, none of those are on the table. And so, bearing that in mind, would you agree with many of the critics of Mazlum Abdi that somehow they failed, that they, in fact, got very little for, as the Kurds put it, all their sacrifices, etc., and that they did not handle these negotiations very well? And he himself told Rudao that they had made a mistake in not implementing the March 10th integration agreement of 2025 fast enough. And that perhaps is a diplomatic way of saying maybe we should have given back Deir ez-Zor and Raqqa before it had to be taken from us by force. What do you say to all of this?
Yeah. Oh, a lot at stake.
A lot.
But let me, I mean, um, because I need to choose my words, my words carefully. I mean, Mazlum Abdi, on Tuesday, he announced the delusion of all military and civil entities, right? Which
Yes.
means SDF, YPG, and YPJ, and the autonomous administration, right?
Yes.
All of them being dissolved now, and now he's part of this in the new Syria state. Now, point number two is that it's not up to me to decide whether he was the loser or the winner, or whether he did not manage or lead the negotiations in the right manner or not. This is up to him, up to the Kurds. But if the ultimate goal is to be part of the new state and struggle and fight for the rights of Kurds and the Syrians in political means, he's there to do it. Ilham is there to do it. I would think, I would think history will judge him, but definitely in January, Syria could have taken completely different course if both of them decided, I mean, if the Syrian army and SDF decided to fight each other, right? Could have
Yeah.
been blood. So I would give a credit to the wisdom of the decision makers who decide, look, we've been fighting, we've been suffering of war and blood for 15 years. Enough. Let's go to try different way.
Totally.
And I think both of us, you and myself, will be very lucky now. When we go to Damascus, we will be able to see Mazlum, Ilham, and Sipan in Damascus. And of course, we will be even happier to go and visit them in Al-Hasaka and Al-Qamishli or in Kobani or Ain Arab. But at the same time, that was not possible before. I mean, it's good to have the road open, the highway open and safe, I hope, between Damascus and Al-Hasaka, between Damascus and Afrin, between Damascus and Qamishli. It's good to use political means rather than military means, I think.
Oh, completely. But of course, we must also note that the United States intervened very forcefully for that war to stop once the Syrian government forces came close to the
Absolutely.
Kurdish areas.
Absolutely.
So, but
And let me give you one information as well. Yes, the Americans and I think Turks for certain. Let me tell you two things, two information. One, the Americans played good role to convince, to mediate with the Syrian government to include the women unit in the Ministry of Interior, to be honest, which is good. So now the Americans played a big role to convince Damascus to accept this. The second is that part of the package, in a way or another, Mazlum Abdi and Ilham Ahmed will go to Turkey to meet the leader of PKK, Abdullah Öcalan, who is in jail, in prison since February 1999. So they're going to meet with him, and they will hope that will be perceived positively in Turkey, that they are encouraging the peace process between the Turkish government and the PKK in Turkey. And they hope that Abdullah Öcalan, Apo, will make a public statement to disconnect with YPG, SDF, and PYD, and to encourage them to be like Syrian entities, and to use political means to achieve the rights and aspirations of the Syrians and the Kurds.
Well, that's huge because, of course, both Ilham Ahmed and Mazlum Kobane were very much part of the PKK for long, long years. So they'll be going back to see their leader, in fact.
But Ambari, the Turks, sorry to interrupt, the Turks already delisted Sipan Hamoud.
Yes, I do. And they will delist
Mazlum.
Mazlum for sure. I believe that also Ilham Ahmed is on that list. So she will presumably be delisted. And probably the Nusaybin border gate will be opened. And all of that is very, very good news, obviously. So since you mentioned Turkey, how involved was Turkey in this entire process? Because we do know Turkey has red lines when it comes to the Kurds. And we also know it's been watching the process in Syria extremely closely, and that, in fact, that process is very tightly linked to what President Erdogan is doing at home with the PKK. So tell us a little bit about what Turkey's role is.
I should ask you. I think you know better than I do.
Oh, no, Ibrahim.
But let me give you my thoughts on this. Publicly, I think some Turkish officials said recently, in the last 2 days, that we will be watching closely the implementation of the decision that been made by Mazlum Abdi. So the decision has been made, but let's see how far they will implement it, how sincere they are, whether that is just to make pressure on SDF, on Mazlum before they give him a visa to go to Turkey or not, whether that is sincere position from Turkey or not. But what we know, what I heard, even before, by the way, I was told by some Syrian sources, high-level, well-informed sources, Turkey, when al-Sharaa signed the agreement with Mazlum Abdi on 10th of March, I'm not sure Turkey was in favor of that agreement. For the Turks, from day one, I'm not sure they're happy the fact that you have 4 brigades from SDF, part of the Syrian army. For them, they want to dismantle all kind of Kurdish entities, and they want SDF fighters to join the Syrian army as individuals, not as blocks.
Yes.
So let's give some credit to the Syrian officials. I'm not really complimenting them, but as analysts, they are trying, of course, because Turkey is an ally for the Syrian government, right? They have very good reputation. And if you notice, before and after each big step in Damascus, the Syrian, with regard to SDF, the Syrian government will try to massage, to brief, to talk, to coordinate with Turkey.
And we'll see Foreign Minister Shaybani go to Ankara very often, soon after the big decisions, as you said.
Yes, to coordinate. And he was there recently. He met with the American Special Envoy, and before that he was in Turkey, and he met with the Foreign Minister, and he met with the head of intelligence in Turkey. So I don't know what was happening in the meetings, but definitely Damascus is very keen to coordinate with Turkey and to put them in the loop about what they're planning to do with the SDF.
Well, an example I often give to people on this subject is, imagine PKK, fighters being integrated in the Turkish military. No one could ever imagine anything like that happening. So I agree with you. What is happening is quite extraordinary. It's significant. And, we'll be all watching very closely what lies ahead. If you were to make a prediction about the future of Mazlum Abdi, do you think he's going to eventually establish a political party? Because the conventional wisdom is that one reason President Shara wants him in Damascus is precisely to prevent him from doing that he doesn't like that idea.
I think, we both are journalists, so we talk with a lot of people. Yes, I was told that at a certain point, Mazlum Abdi considered establishing a political party and to bring around him a lot of Syrians, not just the Kurds, by the way. His plan was to bring people from all across the spectrum.
Yeah.
Now, was that a sincere bet or just as he used it as negotiating card? I don't know.
That's
But
interesting.
but
Okay.
what we know is that I think he's been advised by a lot of people. He's been advised by Tumbarak. He's been advised by Nichervan Barazani. He's been advised by other high-level Kurdish leaders. He's advised by some people within SDF to just to move ahead, to go ahead with the deal, and khalas, to be part of the Syrian state, to be part of the Syrian new political system, and to try to play a role with it. Now, I speak with a lot of Kurdish leaders. Now, whether he will succeed or not, whether Ilham will succeed or not, whether Sipal will succeed or not, I think it all will depend on the way you play the game in Damascus. The rules of game in Damascus, the rules of political game in Damascus is completely different from rules of game in Qamishlo or Al-Hasaka or So different rules. So we will see if they will play accordingly or they will try to apply the old rules of games in Damascus or not.
Well, I put the question to you, is this a win, a loss, something in between for the Kurds? But to me, it's pretty clear that this is a big win for President Shara, and it helped, it's a big step towards consolidating his rule over Syria and probably sends a very strong message to the Druze, makes it far less easy for countries like Israel to try and drive wedges. So can we both agree that President Shara is looking stronger today than he did on Sunday?
I think, let me make a political statement here.
Oh, please.
I think definitely it is big win for Syria.
Okay.
Big win for Syria.
Good answer, Ibrahim. Good answer.
Good win for the Kurds. Good win for Syria, and definitely President Shara had this in his mind. What is the best way for the Syrian people? What is the best way? And he said it several times, look, we suffered a lot from the bloodshed. Let's do it differently. Once again, the deal, I hope it will be implemented. It's great news for the whole Syrian people. It's good news for Syria as a whole.
Absolutely. Well, on that very positive note, I think we'll end it, though obviously I'd love to talk to you for forever. So thank you. Thank you so much for all the great work that you do, that your fantastic wife and my colleague and our colleague Dima Wanums does, and hope to have you on this show again. Maybe we'll both be in Damascus. Thank you, dear Ibrahim.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
And this brings us to the end of our conversation with Ibrahim. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. For more on Syria and the rest of the Middle East, please go to our website www.al-monitor.com. Thank you and goodbye.